Hello and welcome into another episode of the CG Business Advisor podcast brought to you by CG Tax Audit and Advisory. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's been a while since we spoke, but we are back to business and we're glad you can join us here for another exciting episode. On previous episodes, we've talked about artificial intelligence. AI, we know, is taking over the way that we do everyday tasks, not just in our business lives, but in our personal lives as well. And when it comes to business automation, our next guest is on top of everything. Alan Hester is an entrepreneur and leader with proven success in the tech field for over 25 years. He is the president of Nividous Software Solutions, a company passionate about helping businesses work at peak efficiency using three pillars of intelligent automation: robotic process automation, artificial intelligence, and business process management. Alan's previous experience with companies such as Xerox and Freedom Mortgage have contributed to his accomplishments as a member of the leadership team. Alan, thanks so much for joining us here on the CG Business Advisor. Before we get started, I want to learn a little bit more about yourself and your professional background.
Sure. It's great to be here. I would say my background, I've always been kind of the nerdy, geeky kind of person, into technology my whole life and trying to figure out new ways to use it that are interesting. I've worked in a lot of different companies, big companies and small companies, started my own companies, but I've always tried to find ways to use technology to help solve business problems. And much to my parents' chagrin, sometimes cause a little bit of chaos too when I was younger. But coming to Nividous, I saw a company that really intrigued me. I first came to Nividous as a customer, and I had worked with a lot of other technology companies over the course of my career. But one of the things I really liked about Nividous was the fact that they really, being a technology company, still saw the value of the humans within the organization, which, although I'm, as I said, a technologist, I feel like people are the core of any business. And I think that's what really drew me to Nividous, because in Nividous, we're not just looking at the technology, but looking at the technology as a way to solve problems for humans and make their lives better.
Well, technologies have affected pretty much every walk of life now, and especially in the business world. When you talk about AI, it's overwhelming when you just factor in how these different companies and businesses are using AI, how individuals are using AI. Tell me a little bit about how artificial intelligence and other technologies have affected businesses today.
You know, it's funny because some people are thinking that AI was just invented, right? When they first heard about Chat GPT, that's when people, or not all people, but many people think that was the start of AI. AI has been around for a very long time, but for much of its history, it was more of a buzzword than a real thing. The difference that we're seeing now is that it's really turning into a powerful tool that's helping to reshape industries. So companies are using it for all sorts of different things, from customer service to data analysis, and it's allowing businesses to work smarter, not harder. And I think from a data standpoint, it's really bringing some interesting things to the table, because AI is able to analyze data in ways that humans could never do it, because plowing through a ton of data is very easy for AI, but for a human, it could take years and years to get through that same amount of data. So we're at a point where businesses are able to use AI not just to automate tasks, but also do powerful things like predicting trends and personalizing customer experiences and driving innovation.
Talk to me about your software and how you and the team at Nividus can help businesses achieve peak performance with that software.
Well, our approach at Nividus is very process centric, and it is focused around intelligent automation. So we combine the power of AI with a lot of other technologies that allow you to automate not just simple tasks, but end to end business processes. So we help companies to focus on their strategic initiatives by taking the mundane, repetitive work out of the hands of people that really don't want to do it anyway. You know, there are a lot of tasks that everyone do as part of their everyday job that aren't really part of their job description. They're only doing it because someone has to do it.
Mhm.
And because of that, they don't always dedicate their full time or their full thought and energy to getting that task done. And so sometimes that can result in errors and inefficiencies in the process. So taking those kind of tasks out of their hands can produce better results and also increase their satisfaction because they're not having to do those things that are really just wasting their time, and allows them to spend valuable time on higher order tasks, things that will help to build the business, develop new revenue streams, or improve customer satisfaction, those kinds of things.
You mentioned automation. Are there different kinds of automations?
Yeah, so there are a lot of different ways to think about automation. And when you hear people talk about automation, in many cases, you'll hear the term robotic process automation, which is taking a software robot and training it how to do a human performed task.
Mhm.
And so, what that can do is exactly what I had just previously described. It frees up that employee from doing that manual task, but it can be fairly limited in terms of what it brings to the business more broadly, because you're looking at those specific tasks without having the whole end-to-end process in mind. And so there's still often a lot of handoffs between tasks that are done by humans, because some tasks will always be done by humans, and tasks that are done by other systems, as well as automated tasks, as we're talking about. So the way we usually divide those is by talking about holistic automation versus siloed automation. And siloed automation is that more task based automation that we were talking about, whereas holistic automation is about creating an integrated ecosystem where automation spans across departments and processes. And this will help to improve not just individual workflows, but enhances overall business agility and scalability. And at Nividus, we're strong proponents of holistic automation because that is what allows your company to experience the full potential of automation across the entire enterprise.
Now, how does this directly affect employees? Because obviously, the goal here, as you talked about, is to free up the employee to do other more important tasks and to have the automation be able to handle some of the mundane work that they don't really enjoy doing. But what about other effects on employees?
Yeah, this is a very important topic because a lot of times when you talk about technology, you don't always think about the people side of that. And so, although this is taking things off of people's plate that they don't want to do anyway, sometimes it's hard to not be afraid of that. And so, you have to manage for that. When people think that bots or technology or AI is coming for their job, that's not what you're looking for when you're going to dedicate a lot of time and money and effort on an improvement project within the business that is supposed to gain you things, right? If people walk away from that thinking that I don't want to support this because at the end of it, I might not have a job anymore, that throws a monkey wrench into everything. So it's important that people understand that this kind of technology is not about replacing people. It's about enabling them to be more productive and more creative and doing the things that only they can do. So by automating tasks like data entry or report generation, businesses can reduce errors, increase efficiency, and allow their workforce to take on more strategic roles. And that leads to people being happier about their work and more engaged because they're not doing those things that really they don't want to do.
Yeah, and I would say that is a common misconception, right? Is that people think that they're going to be replaced by this software or by the automation, but yet somebody has to program it. Somebody has to put in the data. And let's be honest, Alan, like things like this, you mentioned AI has been around for a while, but like how many years has it been that people have been, putting in information into spreadsheets in Excel and letting it auto, formulate and things like that, where you just put in your parameters. So there's always going to be the need for people to do that stuff. So it
Exactly.
is it is one of those common misconceptions that they think, hey, I'm not going to have a job here because of artificial intelligence.
Right.
So are there any other like pros and let's talk about the negatives? Are there cons to using all of this technology?
Well, I think we've talked about a lot of this already. Obviously, on the pro side, improved efficiency and speed, reducing errors and allowing for scalability. A lot of businesses that we talk to that are looking to scale, they measure their scalability in terms of how many people are required to be added to the business to support X amount of new revenue. And so using these kinds of technologies allows you to do that same kind of scaling and change the equation a little bit so that you don't need as many people as you would necessarily need otherwise. And so that can really be a game changer for businesses that are looking to scale. But then one of the other big benefits that we really haven't talked much about is being able to enhance the decision making that you can do within the business by providing actionable insights from the data. There's a big data component to everything that's being done, not just from the standpoint of being able to visualize the data differently, but also in terms of bringing data together from lots of different sources. A lot of times, when we talked about siloed automation versus holistic, the same thing is true on the data side. There's a lot of siloed data out there that provides a lot of information about your business, but when you look at it isolated, it's not something that is actionable often. And so when you're able to combine all that data together, it gets you to the point where you're able to more easily manage your business and make great decisions that can be very impactful.
So how can a company dip their toes in, for lack of a better term? Like they want to test this out before they really integrate all this technology on a larger scale.
That's one of the great things about robotic process automation. I mentioned that briefly before, but with robotic process automation, that task-based automation, it gives you a way to take a bite-sized chunk that you can start with, and you are able to see what kind of impact the technology can have on your business. And often there is a champion within the business that will say, hey, I think this sounds really interesting and we should give it a try. And it's up to them to sell the rest of the team internally on what the benefits could be to the business of doing that. And so by taking this small bite sized piece and implementing that and showing what the ROI could be for a small, easy, we often call it the low hanging fruit, right? Something that can be implemented quickly, easily, and at a low cost, but have a very large ROI. Taking those projects, doing them in the beginning, allows that champion within the organization to circulate the results of that and build some momentum within the organization to take this approach and go even further with it. So it's perfect for being able to start small and grow as the appetite for this kind of technology increases within the organization.
I love it. I mean, I'm someone that embraces AI. And I use it a lot for different tasks and things when it comes to, work and also creative outlets. So I am a big fan and a proponent of utilizing it. Like you said before, work smarter, not harder. Where can listeners go to get in touch with you and just learn more about Nividous Software Solutions?
Well, unsurprisingly, we have a very good website with a lot of information. Being a technology company, you might expect that. We have a lot of case studies listed on our website that someone can investigate. We also have a bunch of webinars that we've done ourselves, as well as some webinars with some of our customers that will give some background on the kinds of ways this technology has been used. And certainly, if someone is interested, you could reach out to me directly through LinkedIn, and I would be happy to start a conversation that way as well.
Well, Alan, I appreciate the time and the insight. Thank you for the conversation and look forward to catching up with you guys soon.
It was great being here. Thank you.
Good conversation there with Alan. I know we are all interested in how to use automation and AI to help our businesses run more efficiently. And for more information, you can reach out to Alan or check out Nividous Software Solutions.